Tôi không làm, các anh làm gì vậy?
Bà bị bắt vì tội đốt nhà con dâu cũ.
Tại sao mẹ làm vậy? Nhà con
Tôi
bị
sẽ
cháy
chịu
hết
trừng
rồi. Đốt, ta đốt nhà này. Cháy đi, tất cả đều cháy. Ha, đốt sạch.
What would you do if the person who tried to destroy your life was once part of your own family? One quiet night, Huyen and De's peaceful farm suddenly burst into flames, turning their years of hard work into ashes within moments. As they fought desperately to save their animals and protect their home, they had no idea that the truth behind the fire would be far more shocking than the disaster itself. When the police began investigating, a painful secret slowly came to light. The arsonist was Huyen's former mother-in-law. This is the dramatic story of betrayal, justice, and that night, the peaceful farm of Huyen and Day was supposed to be like any other quiet countryside evening. But behind the darkness lurked a cruel truth. The person who would later be revealed as the arsonist was none other than Huyen's former mother-in-law. While the farm slept under a calm sky, a shadow moved silently near the wooden barns. According to the security footage discovered later, the older woman had come in the middle of the night, driven by resentment and bitterness, carrying with her a heart full of anger. She crept toward the storage shed beside the animal pens, glanced around to make sure no one was awake, and then struck a flame. Within moments, the dry hay and old wooden boards caught fire. The flames began as a small flicker, but quickly grew into a hungry blaze, crawling across the roof and licking the night air with frightening speed. Inside the farmhouse, Huyen suddenly woke up, her heart beating fast as a strange smell filled the air. It was the sharp, suffocating scent of smoke. At first, she thought she was dreaming, but then she heard the faint crackling sound of burning wood. Her eyes widened in alarm. She rushed to the window and froze in shock. The barn outside was glowing red with fire. Panic rushed through her body. "Day, wake up! The farm is on fire!" she cried, her voice trembling with fear. Day jumped out of bed instantly, and the two of them ran outside without even thinking about the cold night air. What they saw made their hearts sink. Flames were climbing higher and higher along the roof of the wooden animal shelter, sparks flying into the sky like angry stars. Without wasting a second, Huyen and Day rushed to the animal pens. The terrified chickens were flapping wildly, and the goats were bleating loudly in panic. Fighting against the heat and smoke, Day forced open the wooden gates, while Huyen hurriedly guided the animals out into the open field. Her hands trembled, but she kept moving, whispering softly to calm the frightened creatures. "It's okay. Come out. You're safe," she murmured, even as tears filled her eyes. The fire roared louder, threatening to swallow everything they had worked so hard to build. This farm was not just land and buildings, it was their dream, their years of sweat, hope, and determination. Hearing their desperate shouts, several neighbors woke up and ran over to help. Some carried buckets of water, others grabbed shovels and sand to slow the spreading flames. Together, they fought against the raging fire under the dark sky. The night, once peaceful, had turned into a desperate battle. Finally, after nearly an hour of struggle, the flames were brought under control. Part of the barn had collapsed, and the ground was blackened with ash, but miraculously, no one was injured and all the animals had survived. Exhausted and covered in soot, Huyen stood beside Day, staring at the burned remains of their farm. Her heart ached, yet deep inside she felt as the first light of morning slowly spread across the countryside. The farm that had once been full of life now looked painfully silent. Thin lines of gray smoke still rose from the charred remains of the wooden barn, and the smell of burnt hay lingered heavily in the cool air. Huyen stood quietly beside Day, her eyes fixed on the blackened beams and collapsed roof. Only hours ago, this place had been filled with the familiar sounds of clucking chickens, rustling straw, and the peaceful rhythm of farm life. Now it looked like a scar on the land. The ground was covered in ash, and pieces of burnt wood lay scattered everywhere. Huyen felt a deep ache in her chest, not only because of the damage, but because this farm represented years of hard work, patience, and shared dreams between her and Day. They had built it slowly with their own hands, saving every small earning to expand the barns and care for their animals. Seeing it like this was heartbreaking. Yet something about the fire troubled Day. As he walked around the ruins, carefully examining the ground, he noticed things that did not seem right. The fire had started at a very specific corner of the barn, where dry hay had been piled unusually high, and the pattern of the burn marks suggested that the flames had not started naturally. Day frowned, his instincts telling him this was no accident. When he mentioned his suspicion to Huyen, she felt a chill run down her spine. The thought that someone might have intentionally harmed them was frightening. Without wasting time, Day decided to report the incident to the police. If someone had truly set the fire, they needed to know the truth. Later that morning, police officers arrived at the farm to investigate. They carefully inspected the burned structures, photographed the damage, and collected small pieces of evidence from the ground. One officer pointed out traces of an accelerant near the edge of the barn, confirming that the fire had most likely been started deliberately. Huyen felt her heart sink even deeper. Someone had not only wanted to destroy their property, but had done so in the middle of the night, when the fire could have easily spread to the house and endangered their lives. The investigation continued for several days. Officers checked nearby security cameras from houses along the small country road that led to the farm. Eventually, one camera captured a crucial piece of footage from the night of the fire. The video showed a lone figure walking slowly toward the farm in the darkness, stopping near the barn and leaving not long after a faint glow of light began to appear. When the police enhanced the footage and identified the person, the truth stunned both Huyen and Day. The person in the video was Huyen's former mother-in-law. For a moment, Huyen could hardly believe it. Memories of past conflicts and bitter arguments suddenly came rushing back to her mind. After the divorce from her previous marriage, the relationship between her and that woman had been filled with resentment and blame. The truth, once uncovered, moved quickly through the hands of the law. After confirming the identity from the security footage and gathering enough evidence from the burned barn, the police issued a formal summons for Huyen's former mother-in-law. A few days later, she was brought to the station for questioning. At first, she tried to remain calm, insisting that she knew nothing about the fire. She avoided eye contact and answered every question with cold, distant words. But the evidence was too clear. The officers presented the camera footage showing her figure walking toward the farm in the middle of the night. They showed the timeline of her movements, the path she took along the quiet road, and the exact moment she left the area just before the flames began to rise. Faced with the undeniable truth, her confidence slowly crumbled. The room grew silent as the weight of the evidence pressed down on her. Finally, her resistance broke. With a heavy sigh and trembling hands, she confessed. She admitted that anger and resentment had been growing inside her for a long time. After Huyen's divorce from her son years earlier, she had blamed Huyen for everything that had gone wrong in their family. Even though Huyen had tried to move on peacefully and build a new life with Dee, the older woman had never been able to let go of her bitterness. When she heard that Huyen and Dee were living happily on the farm, slowly building a stable life together, jealousy and hatred filled her heart. In a moment of cruel determination, she decided to take revenge. On that dark night, she drove quietly to the countryside, waited until the farm lights were out, and set fire to the barn, using dry hay and a small container of fuel. She had never expected the flames to spread so quickly. Yet, even as she spoke, the officers reminded her that her actions could have taken lives, not just destroyed property. Soon after the confession, the police officially filed charges against her for intentional destruction of property by arson. The case moved forward through the legal process, and the seriousness of the crime became clear. According to the law, deliberately setting fire to someone's property is a dangerous and criminal act, especially when it risks harming people and animals. Because the fire destroyed part of the farm and could have caused far greater tragedy, the punishment she faced was severe. Legal experts explained that she could receive a prison sentence of up to 5 years for her actions. When Huyen heard the final report from the investigators, she felt a mixture of emotions: shock, sadness, and a quiet sense of justice. She had once hoped that the conflicts from the past would fade away with time. Instead, they had led to a painful disaster. Yet standing beside Dee in front of the damaged farm, she realized something important. Despite the ashes and destruction, they had not lost everything. Their lives were safe, their animals were alive, and the truth had come to light. With determination in his eyes, Dee gently took Huyen's hand and told her they would rebuild everything together. The farm might have been scarred by fire, but their courage and hope remained stronger than ever. Slowly, they began clearing the burned wood and planning new barns, determined to turn the
Hello, xin chào tất cả các khán giả của kênh Live Single RV. Vậy là câu chuyện của chúng ta ngày hôm nay đã kết thúc tại đây. Nội dung câu chuyện hôm nay của chúng ta, tác giả đã kể về việc mẹ chồng cũ của Huyền, bà ta thật là độc ác khi đã vì thù hằn chuyện bà ta ăn trộm con gà và bị bắt mà bà ta đã trả thù bằng cách là đốt nông trại của Huyền và Đệ, và âm mưu của bà ta đã bị Đệ phát hiện và Đệ đã dập chữa cháy thành công. Và một điều đặc biệt nữa là Huyền và Đệ đã báo cảnh sát để bắt bà ta. Mẹ chồng cũ của Huyền sẽ phải đối mặt với mức án tù giam khoảng 5 năm để trả giá cho hành vi của bà ta. Mọi tình tiết hấp dẫn về câu chuyện Huyền Đệ sẽ còn được kể ở các video tiếp theo. Các bạn đừng quên bấm vào nút đăng ký kênh sẽ nhận được thông báo mới nhất về câu chuyện sẽ được phát sóng hàng ngày trên kênh Live Single RV nha. Cảm ơn các bạn rất nhiều vì đã luôn theo dõi và ủng hộ Huyền Đệ. Huyền and Đệ, thank you so much. Please continue support our channel Live Single RV. Bye bye.